Hey, it's Kim. I'm going to do a video for you on the idea of our pay down permission. Sometimes we call this permission to spend. We address this in our Live Your Life Insurance book, but this specific white paper, which will be somewhere on this video for you to grab as well, is called Pay Down Permission because it addresses a very specific structure of you utilizing assets late in life. In fact, the very subject or subsubject, I should say, of the paper is how life insurance can optimize, that means make the best of, your late life income by giving you permission to pay down other assets. So let's first of all, and I've got the white paper here, so you're going to see me looking down some, address the concept of traditional financial work compared to what I call typical financial work. Traditional work means, the definition of traditional, right? It's been around for forever. People have been using these strategies for literally centuries. That's what traditional means. And life insurance is a very traditional asset. It's been around a couple hundred years in the United States and longer than that in Europe. Typical is what's more common today. So typical financial planning, especially typical retirement-oriented financial planning, is all about your 401ks and your stock market account and your IRAs and deferring taxes, and pretty much ignores life insurance if it addresses it at all, or worse, it might even say that you don't need any. That's typical retirement planning, if you will. Traditional retirement planning, however, is going to take a look at your assets, take a look at the life insurance. So if you're younger, this would be a reason you would buy life insurance. If you're older and you already own it, this would be a reason for you to keep it or keep contributing to it so that it continues to grow. And the pay down permission idea is to take your two asset bases. So basically all of your other after tax or tax deferred assets and your life insurance. And of course, we know there's a third bucket over there, which is your home equity, but we're leaving that out of the equation right now. So you just take these other assets and your life insurance and you optimize them, right? You pay one down while the other sits there and sometimes contributes along the way, and then is enabling you late in life to continue to get income. That's the whole premise of this paper. So literally, like if you get that, you can be done with the video. But I'm going to go on, for people that have a curiosity for some more detail. So we have in the white paper a gentleman named Mike who has assets without life insurance. And we actually talk about him earning a couple $100,000 a year and spending 170 and saving 30. And he's going to put his money in typical investments. And over time, he's earned over $1 million, kind of your ideal, which is sad because really people need more, like a lot more than $1 million, but we'll just go with it for now. And then, he's got to pay taxes on these. So obviously, even if it's been deferred all along, now that he's in retirement age, he's paying taxes on his IRA or 401k type money. So in the white paper, I'm on page 4 now, it's all analyzed very numerically if you want to take a look at it. And as a general rule within this pay down permission idea, because Mike only has his assets, he cannot do a pay down. He has to do more of an interest only move, we call it in our industry. He can only skim the cream off the crop because he's got to leave the bulk of that asset there because he doesn't know how long he's going to live. And oh my gosh, if you have not done any studying lately of longevity, please do. Because people used to think 85 was like, you'll be dead by then. Oh my gosh, I've got my dad still alive past 85. I have in-laws that are alive past 85 and they're healthy. Like they have another 10 to 15 years to go. Somebody that's younger than that, like in their 50s or 60s, me, we're going to live till we're 100. And if you're in your 20s or 30s, you better be strategizing to live to 120, 130. I know that sounds bizarre, but that's going to be the truth. So going on in the paper, we look at that million that has now grown to about $4 million. So that's a more normal number that people are looking at when they're considering retirement. It's all zeros, right? But could be 400,000, it could be 4 million, it could be 4 billion. But nevertheless, in our example, we've got $4 million. Now, on page, let's see, 6, we take a look at Mike's assets with life insurance, and we use that skim the cream off the crop idea all along the way instead of waiting until retirement to purchase life insurance. And this is one of the biggest struggles that people have, and that is that the premium for life insurance, especially whole life insurance, WHOLE, the type that you have heard me talk about, and the only type that I like to talk about, unless it's also with term insurance, but whole life insurance premium builds cash value. So we get stuck in our head, premium is car insurance, right? Home insurance, it's gone, it's a cost. But with whole life insurance, premium builds an asset, and that asset is called cash value. And so if Mike decides to skim the cream off the crop of his other assets and purchase an additional asset called life insurance, then, as you probably know, he gets the cash value. That's like the liquid asset that's on his balance sheet. And he also gets that future promise to pay. We talk about it as a death benefit. Last time I checked, death is a guaranteed event, and these payouts are guaranteed. And so because of that, you can tie those two guarantees together and make for a very efficient paydown permission. Now, people immediately think, oh, I'm paying down the life insurance. No, we want to let that sit there for late in life. You want to pay down all of your other assets. Well, what does that look like? Maybe you have an after-tax account, CDs, mutual funds, muni bonds, anything like that. You want to pay that down over time, 15, 20 years or so. Let's say you have IRA money, 401k money, 403b money, qualified retirement dollars. You want to pay that down over 10 or 15 or 20 years rather than just taking the 4% rule or interest only. You want those assets being purposely paid down so that you can be more in control and you can guarantee that the late in life income, which can come from the life insurance, is going to be certain for you. Because when you're in your 70s and 80s, if you had to go back to work because the stock market crashed that year or whatever, you could probably do that. You get into your 90s and over 100, you're not going to want to go back to work if the stock market crashes. So again, we're looking to have the life insurance build in certainty for us, the insured, right? I'm not talking about anybody dying yet. I'm just talking about leveraging the fact that death is a guaranteed event and that then, because the life insurance will pay, you have a guaranteed payout. So as we move on, we're going down into page 7. There's some specificity around taking that asset and paying it down so you can really get a picture of what that looks like. Now, we have a very interesting quote right in the middle of page 8, and I'm so honored to share this with you. It's been so helpful to me, and I hope it is to you. And that's from my friend, Vince Dodona, who has helped people with their finances for well over 40 years. And his quote is that small money can act like big money in the presence of whole life insurance. Small money can act like big money in the presence of whole life insurance. What he means by that is the presence of the death benefit gives you the permission to pay down your other assets, like I said, over 10 or 20 years, which is a much more efficient tax strategy than the people that are just skimming the cream off the crop. So let me back up one more time. We want to skim the cream off the crop while we're building assets. But then when we go down the mountain, and remember, a mountaineering trip is only successful if you make it both up and down the mountain. When we go down the mountain, we want to pay down or spend down all of those assets. And there's a very specific order that we recommend, and I'll cover that here in a little bit. So as you progress in this white paper, there is a scenario of a distribution without any life insurance at all. And so you can see all the math around that one. basically living off interest only, which is what most people recommend, and it's usually not enough money. Then there's another scenario of distribution two with life insurance. Sometimes we call this distribution A and distribution B. And the presence of the life insurance cash value helps you in your 70s and 80s because, as I said earlier, if you have a down stock market year, you don't want to take from your 401ks and your IRAs and your after-tax stock market money. If you have real estate, this works as well because, of course, real estate has its ups and downs as well. In those down years, we can borrow against or withdraw. Sometimes it makes more sense to withdraw. You have to look at it at the time, how old you are, etc. The dollars that you need to live on for that year, just a single year. Or if the market's down for 2 years in a row, then of course you do it for 2 years. So that's how the cash value helps. Now, the death benefit then creates that pay down. So the cash value helps, like I said, in your 70s and 80s. It helps you pay down all of your other assets. It helps those assets last longer because you can borrow against the cash value or withdraw the cash value to support yourself in down years. Then it's the death benefit that comes into play in your 90s and your 100s. Now, the cash value is still there as well. You're probably still going to use similar structures in that you could borrow against the cash value again, or take dividends in cash, or draw from the cash value. All of those things are still available to you. And even better, switching a portion of that cash value to some type of immediate and fixed annuity will guarantee you income for life. Listen to those words, guaranteed income for life. There is only a single product, and it's not your life insurance policy. There is only a single product that will do this guaranteed income for life payment. And it's a stream of payments, and it works beautifully if you have one spouse that's just not really into finances. So we go over this in distribution two as an additional example of how the cash value in the life insurance could create that guaranteed income for life. Literally, no matter how long you live. Like, it wouldn't matter if you, in old language, ran out of money, because in new language, you can't run out of money if you have a guaranteed income for life. Single premium immediate annuity. That's what the product is called. It's a fixed guaranteed annuity that pays for life, no matter how long you live. So that gets combined with this space of the pay down of your assets. And this is a little difficult to explain verbally, so I'm going to trust you look at the white paper. I'm moving on into page 13, where we have proof that less can be more, to pick up on that Vince Dodona quote. And then we get into the entire math around what happens at age 90. And 90 is just a placeholder. It could be 89, it could be 93. It doesn't have to be exactly age 90. And oftentimes that pay down has now drawn all those assets to zero. So that's when you're utilizing that immediate annuity idea or other structures that provide that guaranteed income for life, if you can find them. I'm only aware of the one, but you might find something else out there. All right, moving on in the report then, we're starting to get wrapped up. What else do you have permission to do? This paydown permission idea. And that is to add in the idea of something that's called a reverse mortgage. Again, this is another financial product. It's fraught with misinformation, just like the word annuity is, just like the word life insurance is. So I really encourage you to reach out to our team if you have some questions about this space and you're in your late 60s, 70s, 80s, even 90s. The example that we use here is somebody in his 90s. And we walk through all of the numerical aspects of that strategy being combined with the life insurance death benefits. We have pay down first, and we have reverse mortgage second. We have immediate annuity mixed in, kind of depending on the ages and the dollar figures. And then we address inflation a little bit. Inflation's very, very critical. Did you know that your expenses triple every 30 years? So if you're 60 and you're spending 10 grand a month, that means when you're 90, you're spending 30 grand a month to live the same lifestyle. And frankly, at that point, you might want to pay for quite a few other things and, or, maybe travel more. I mean, who knows, depending on your health, right? So as we wrap up, as I said, on this document, we're down into page 20 and 21, where we're looking very specifically at a couple different numerical examples of what I've been speaking about. And then on page 22, we have the last and critical section of the paper, and that is the order of operations. So as we proved above, the order is so important, and here it is. First, so you're in your 60s, 70s, 80s, you're ready to retire, right? Or ready to partially retire. You want to look at all of your retirement dollars first, your IRAs, your 401ks, your 403bs, any pensions and profit sharing plans. Those dollars should really be the first to go, paid down. In other words, you just reduce the balance to zero over a period of 10 to 20 years. That's the first thing. Second is typically, there's always exceptions, Social Security should be taken as late as possible. Third, all the after-tax accounts should be spent. So the stocks and the mutual funds, again, in that pay down fashion. And then fourth is the cash value of the whole life and reverse mortgages, typically as late as possible. Again, sometimes exceptions there because sometimes it actually makes more sense to get the reverse mortgage set up at age 62. And the presence of the death benefit is what allows and enables you to do all of these things that we have talked about. So again, that order of operations, retirement dollars, Social Security taken as late as possible, after-tax accounts, then cash value, reverse mortgages, and then finally, there will be a death, and that death benefit will pay, and then the family can choose to pay off the reverse mortgage or fill back up the investment accounts, which is basically the idea in the What Would the Rockefellers Do commentary that's so prevalent in our marketplace today. So that is Paydown Permission. I hope that that has been helpful to you. Again, I encourage you to look at the white paper. It's only 22 pages long. It's got a lot of pictures in it. They are numerical, but they're in color. So maybe that helps a little bit. And I trust that if you have questions on this and you'd certainly like to have it applied to yourself personally, you reach out to our team. I'm Kim Butler. Thanks for joining me today.